What's up everybody, Teancum here with Sew Yeah Quilting. Today I'm going to show you how you make this boutique hexagon turtle. Let's get started. To get started, the pattern that we're using today calls for a couple of templates. I've gone ahead and cut these templates out on paper, and to use the templates we're just going to set it down onto our fabric, trace them out, and cut them out with a pair of scissors or a rotary cutter. As you can see here, I've gone ahead and already cut out my tail, the shell, the legs, and the head. And these strips here are all the strips that I'll be using to make the actual hexagon shell. All of the cutting instructions and the sizes are going to be in the pattern in the description below. This right here is my backing. So we're going to go ahead and start with our shell. So to get started making our shell, we're going to start by using 1/2 of our hexie, and we're going to take our first strip. As you see here, I have it labeled, and you're going to start with the left side of your half hexie. Something to be mindful of is when we're doing these, we want to have about a 2 to 4 inch overhang past of our hexie here. The reason being is once we sew this and fold this out, if we had lined these up like so, when we fold them out, and I'll see if we can't see this on the top camera, you see how it doesn't make a straight line, that we now have a kind of an L-shaped? We need to be able to make a straight line cut at the end. So if we hang it over, you know, an inch to, it all depends on the size of our strips. But if you hang it out over a little bit, when we sew this, we're gonna be able to cut off a strip. And I'm gonna go ahead and show that to you here in just 1 second. But I'm gonna go over and take it to my sewing machine. Everything we'll be doing today is a 1/4 inch seam. So I've got my 1/4 inch foot hooked up. So I'm gonna go ahead and sew this down. Like I said, a 1/4 inch seam. And something that we want to do too is change our stitch length a little bit. We want to be at like a 2.5. Now that we've got this sewn, we're going to want to open this seam up, and we're going to want to cut the strip semi-flush with our half hexie here. So I'm going to just go ahead and cut that off just like so. I'm going to take the strip that I just cut off and sew it to the other side. I'm going to repeat the same process of opening this up, and I'm going to cut this side now semi-flush, like so. And we're going to grab our other half of the hexie and repeat this process. Now our next step is I'm going to go ahead and take this over to the iron and iron these open. So I've got these on my ironing board. I'm going to go ahead and open up these seams. First we're going to press them. And then we're going to go ahead and open the seam. Now that these are open, I'm going to go ahead and lay down a cutting mat. And what we're going to want to do is cut these flush with our half hexie in the center. So I'm going to go ahead and lay down my ruler like so. I'm going to go ahead and cut these just like so. We'll put those to the side, do it to the bottom half. So now that they look like this, we're going to go ahead and add a strip to the top here and a strip to the top of this one. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Again, we're going to cut these semi-flush with our outer border, just like so. Now I'm going to take these back to my cutting mat and my ironing board. I'm going to go ahead and set my seams. I'm going to go ahead and open the seam just like that. I'm going to take them over here to my cutting mat. And again, I'm just going to use my outer border and cut this back into the shape of my half hexie. So that right there is the start of our hexagon. I'm going to go ahead and grab my next color, and I'm going to do the exact same process with all of the colors. So we've just finished up sewing on all of our strips to our half hexes. Now we need to connect both sides. So we're going to take a quick minute here and make sure all of our seams are lined up with our other piece. And we're going to go ahead and pin each individual seam. That way we get a really clean look. And then I'm going to go ahead and take it to my sewing machine and sew a 1/4 inch seam down it. So I've just finished up sewing our turtle shell at the top. The next thing that we need to do is quilt this. So we're going to add some fusible fleece or some batting to the back of this, and we can do some stitch in the ditch or some walking foot quilting. I'm going to go and take this to the long arm and long arm it myself. Come with me and let me show you how it's done. So we just finished quilting our turtle shell top. One thing I forgot to mention is that we also quilted what will be the bottom of our turtle as well. This right here is just straight lines at 2 inches, just so it kind of looks like the belly of a turtle. The next part that we need to start doing is the head, the legs, and the tail. This is really simple to do. All we're going to do is we're going to start with the tail, and we're going to sew 1/4 inch all the way around, and then we're going to stuff it. So before I can begin sewing this, I'm also going to change my stitch length down to about 1.5, 1.5. That way we get a really nice stitch. Before we sew our head together, we have to attach the eyes. We can do this in a bunch of different ways. We can put a button on there. I have patches today, or we can also just use a piece of fabric and applique it on. To attach my appliques, or my patches here, I'm gonna go ahead and use 606. This is permanent adhesive spray. I'm gonna give it a really good coating. And then this is a one-time use, right? We gotta get it on the first try. Just like that. With 606, we just go ahead and press it down, and it's gonna take about 30 seconds. We're gonna move it a little bit as we're going, just so we don't scorch anything. Just like that. And those guys are on there now for good. Now what we're going to do is we're gonna take our top, or the other side of our head, line them up, and go ahead and sew that 1/4 inch all the way around. So you see my opening on the turtle head is a large opening. We're going to shorten this so that it's only about a 2-inch opening. On the other pieces, like the tail, it's already about 2 or 3 inches, so we're okay there. Same with the feet. The head's just got a really big opening, so we want to make sure that's closed. So now that we've sewn all of our pieces, the next step is to go around all the curves and cut them at about a 1/2 inch. That way when we turn everything, we get a really nice curve in the end. It's not very bulky, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then when we turn it, we're going to get a nice clean turn edge. I'm gonna go ahead and stick my scissors in here to get that tip out. I'm gonna go ahead and do that to all the pieces. Our next step is that we gotta go ahead and start stuffing the tail, the legs, and the head. Over here I've got some polyfill. Let me go ahead and grab that. And something that not everyone knows about polyfill is you gotta go ahead and start fluffing this stuff a little bit. That way it adds a little bit more volume to what you're doing. So I'm gonna go ahead and fluff this, and we're gonna start stuffing these. Now that that's fluffed, I'm gonna go ahead and start stuffing. We just finished stuffing our pieces here, and something just to be mindful of, you wanna be able to get a 1/2 inch seam on all of these, and we're gonna go ahead and do that right now, but you want that 1/2 inch, and it'll really help out towards the end. I'm gonna go ahead and stick it underneath my foot like so. Make sure you get that back stitch. I'm gonna go ahead and do that to all of the pieces. Now I'm gonna go and set all these aside, and we're gonna start working on the back of our turtle. back meaning the bottom of our turtle. Let me go ahead and grab that. I went ahead and, like I said before, this is just straight line quilting, nothing too special here. But we need to go ahead and put a zipper in the back. I'm going to be using a zipper right in the middle instead of going to the edge, just because I think that's a cleaner look, and I'm going to show you how you do that. Right here I have a 14-inch zipper. All you need is a zipper over 12 inches. So a 12, a 14, 16, 18. In the pattern it says a 22, whatever size you want. So I'm going to cut a hole in close to the center of where my turtle is going to be in the end. And I'm going to cut this at 10 inches. I'm going to use my rotary cutter, and I'm going to, since I did straight line quilting, I'm going to cut it right on my seam. I'm going to hold this up so everyone can see. I've got this hole now in my fabric. The next step is we're going to cut kind of a Y shape here at the very end. That way we can put in a zipper. I'm going to show you. So I'm going to do a snip here. And do a snip here, just like so. You can see the Y. I'm going to do it to both sides. I'm going to go ahead and flip this so we can move on to the next part. Our next step is we're going to add some Steam 2. This is 1/2 inch tape to the outsides of the cut. I'm going to go ahead and take my iron. Cut off my excess. I'll repeat that to this side. We're going to remove the parchment paper on the back. Now we're going to turn in our seams. You want about 1/4 of an inch to a 1/2 inch turn here. Got a little bit of glue there. Let me just take care of that. Just like that. We're going to go ahead and iron that down. We're going to repeat the process to the other side. To add the zipper, we're going to put Steam 2 on both sides and iron it down to stick both sides together. That way we can then sew it. So I'm taking this over to our sewing machine. I've changed out our thread to an invisible thread. I'm gonna stick this underneath our machine here. And I'm gonna get this question in the comments, I'm sure, of why am I just using a 1/4 inch foot instead of a zipper foot? The best way to say it is I wanna get a little bit closer than what my zipper foot for this machine can do. So that's the reason why I'm doing it. I'm gonna bring it about halfway down on the zipper, and I want it to butt up exactly with the zipper, the fabric here with the zipper here. And we're just gonna be sewing right on the edge of this fabric. I'm gonna run into my zipper here. All we have to do is lift up our foot and move the zipper out of the way. Go ahead and turn. Pinch the zipper together. Right here I have my opened end, so we're going to pinch it together. I'm going to run into my zipper again. I'm going to lift up. And zip that all the way up. Keep going down. Now we have a zipper right there in the middle of our fabric. Our next step is to finish assembling the turtle. We're going to start sandwiching everything together. First, we're going to take our top and lay it down right sides together on our back. And I'm going to want to line up the zipper as close as I can to center. Just like that. We're going to need some pins, so put those real close next to you. And we're going to take the head first and attach the head. All of our parts that we're going to add on right now are going to be inside in between the top and our bottom of what I'm going to call this. And we're going to pin them down so we can go ahead and sew them. I'm going to find center here, which is right here on my shell. I'm going to attach the head. The eyes are supposed to be facing forward, and we're gonna slide in just like this. And you want a little bit of the fabric from, in this case, the head to stick out. That way we can see if we're actually sewing it down. We're gonna attach the leg next. Again, we're gonna find center. Maybe right here. Be mindful that we can put these on backwards now, right? We don't want a foot sticking up this way. We want it to stick out the right way, which is just like this. Again, with a little bit of the fabric showing. Now from here, we have all of the legs, tail and head connected. We're gonna make sure we can get this as straight as we can on our backing, and we're gonna pin this all down. Use a lot of pins on this. We don't want it to move on us. So I'm gonna start at the top, and like with the head, I'm gonna squish it down so I can pin it to the back. Try to pin everything going the same direction, that way we don't get ourselves in the end while we're sewing. Now that it's all pinned, I'm going to take it over to my sewing machine and start sewing. So we're going to bring this over to our sewing machine. Again, I'm using a 1.5 stitch length, and we're going to sew all the way around. Just pulled this off the sewing machine. Our next step is we're going to trim off all of our back. So we're just going to take a pair of scissors, start trimming. So now we're going to flip it. We're going to start with the head, and this is why we need that 10-inch plus zipper. That way the head fits through nice and easy. There it is. Now we're going to go ahead and stuff him. As you saw, I already pre-fluffed all this, and we're going to go stuff it into the turtle. So this right here is about 6 pounds of polyfill batting, and we're going to go ahead and zip this guy up. Just like that. So here they are, the finished product. These turtles were really fun to make. It only took a couple of strips and about 4 hours of time. If you liked this video, hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. I'm going to leave instructions on how to make these in the description below. My name's Teancum, teaching you how to sew like a pro. We'll see you next week here at Sew Yeah Quilting.